Good morning. Hope you're having a great week. It is Wednesday, November 27th, 5:07 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Or no, we're back on Standard Time. Pacific Standard Time here in Portland, Oregon. I'm technically in Aurora, Oregon, which is just south of Portland, and this is the first live stream that I've done, so bear with me a moment while I make sure that it's working properly. I want to make sure I've got audio on this real quick. It is showing that I'm sending audio, but let me... Technically in Aurora, Oregon, which is just... Okay. It looks like it's working. So we are going to get to the load board now. And what we'll do is we'll go through the Landstar Load Board. Let me switch screens. And I apologize. I'm not like some pro streamer or anything, so... it's probably not going to be a really smooth stream, but we're going to go through here and look for some loads. So what are my searches? I've got... Let's go to... This is my main search. That is not correct. What's wrong with this? It's not showing... There's something it's not doing properly. Because there are not that many search results. Oh, I know what it is. I have a bunch of these agents blocked. That's why. Okay, so this is correct. This is correct. All right, so let me explain what we're looking at before we start looking at stuff, because without context, all this information is kind of meaningless. So, first of all, let me explain the load board down here. So, origin and destination, that's pretty self-explanatory. This is where the load picks up. This is where the load delivers. Distance. This is how far away it is from where I'm at. Well, not exactly where I'm at. I'm searching from Portland. So this is the distance from Portland. If I were to set this to search from, Phoenix, Arizona, then it would be the distance from Phoenix, Arizona. This is the trailer type that the load is requesting. Most of these are van or 53-foot van. This is the approximate weight of the load. This number, a lot of agents, they don't even bother changing this number. They just have a certain weight that they put on a load, and they put that weight on every single load. So the load weight is something that you really have to ask them about. If you see a round number like 38,000, then that's a guesstimate. Or that's an agent just throwing a ballpark number up there. You have no idea what the weight of this load is going to be. But if it's a really precise number like 14,812 pounds, then that's probably the actual weight of the load. And then the commodity type, this is the type of item that you're hauling. So you have AUTP is auto parts, building materials, hazmat, consumer goods or appliances. CGAP is the most common load type, consumer goods or appliances. Stops. So every load has at least one delivery. The number of stops here are the number of extra deliveries. So if it has 0, then it's just a one pick, one drop. So you're picking it up somewhere and you're delivering it somewhere. There's no extra stops on it. You'll notice a lot of these have numbers in them. 37. This is the number of extra stops. So you have your pickup, your delivery, and then you have 37 extra stops in between those. That's the reason that I have this agency, which should be blurred out. It is not blurred out. Why is it not blurred out? You're not supposed to be able to see the agent's names and phone numbers. Oh, I know why. I'm using a different browser. All right, we're just going to roll with it. Unfortunately, you're going to see the agents' names and phone numbers on this live stream. Please don't call them. If you call these agents trying to get these loads, they're going to assume that you're a Landstar driver, and they're going to ask you for your truck number, and you're going to give them a truck number, and they're going to be like, "Yeah, I don't see that in the system." You're not getting these rates unless you work directly for Landstar, unless you're contracted with Landstar. These rates pay absolute crap on the spot market. If Landstar posts these loads on the spot market, they're going to pay crap because Landstar heavily penalizes agents for not using a Landstar driver. So these loads will probably pay half what they're paying on the spot market. So please don't call them. And for the next stream, I'll make sure to put the blur effect in. You know what? Let me just go ahead and do it now. Let's add in. All right, everything looks good. I gotta remember how to do this. There it is. Blur. Area. Oh my goodness. Let me pull this over the other screen so I can see it. There we go. Region. Edge. All right. I don't think it's working. There we go. I needed to put it higher up. And just a second here, it's a little bit too far to the left. There we go. All right. I think we're good. I apologize for that. But it looks like the phone numbers are blurred out now. So yeah, you saw a few of them. Please don't call them. The one agency on here that you saw, ROR, I have them blocked because all they post are massive multi-stop loads with like 30 extra stops on them. So what we got going on here, we got Kent, Washington to Heber, California. Oh, I wasn't done explaining. Okay, so we made it to the stops. Now mileage. This is the loaded miles. This doesn't include any kind of deadhead miles. So this is just the loaded miles. This is the mileage from Kent, Washington to Heber, California. And this is something that the Landstar agent manually puts in. This is not something that's automated. So there are Landstar agents that'll come in here and like put 0 miles, and it'll make it to where it's paying $5,170.50 per mile, because the rate per mile, oh no, the rate per mile, that's something that's automated. It takes the mileage and the revenue and it creates the rate per mile automatically. So agents will come in here and manipulate the rate per mile by putting in the wrong mileage. Not a lot of agents do that, but there are a few. And usually whenever they do that, they say, oh, it was an error. And that's what the agents always say whenever they get caught doing something like that. They always just say, oh, it was somebody else's mistake, or oh, they forgot to do something. They always blame somebody else. I've never had an agent accept responsibility for anything. So then we have the rate per mile, which is automated. It's just the revenue and the miles, little math formula. And then the revenue, this is the total amount that the load pays. This is what the customer pays if it's contract freight. So all of these loads on here, something you'll see is, I don't think I have it listed on here. No, it doesn't show it on this load board. But every single one of these loads are direct customer. What the yes means underneath revenue is that there is accessorial pay. So let's click on this load and I'll show you what accessorial pay is. Accessorial pay is basically things like driver unload, fuel surcharge, things like that. So accessorials, fuel surcharge, based on 1,350 miles, $445.50. So they're paying $445.50. Why does accessorial pay matter? Well, I get 100% of some of the accessorial pay. I get a different percentage. So I get 65% of the line haul, and then the accessorial pay, you have to go to the contract and it's all itemized on what percentage I get of various things. But fuel surcharge, I get 100% of that. So I get 100% of the $445.50. So to figure out how much I make on this load, let's take the line haul. That's the total revenue. So the revenue, got a bust out calculator here. The revenue is taking into account everything. So we have to take 5170.50 and then subtract 445.5, and that gives us $4,725. That's the line haul. Then we multiply that times 0.65, and that comes out to $3,071.25. And then we add back in the 445.5, so $3,516.75. That is how much I would get paid on this load that pays $5,170. I get $35,1675, which comes out to, based on 1,331 miles, $2.64 a mile. So I hope that explains it well enough. And unfortunately, yeah, there's still going to be some phone numbers that you see in here, because I don't have everything blurred. So this agent is pretty awesome. They have comments in here. So most agents don't bother to put comments. Comments like this are amazing to know if, hey, is there on-site parking? Is there overnight parking? Can I get there early? What are the hours of service? Or the hours of the business or whatever. So what do we got here? 24-hour receiver, so I can arrive anytime to pick up the load. It's a live load, and it's a drop and hook at the receiver. Team or solo load, no touch for the driver. Weekly lane, easy load, come work with us. JRG, direct shipper and customer. No broker freight moved with this agency. So this agency is basically saying in the comments here that they don't repost crap from the spot market. Every single load that they put on Landstar's load board is a direct customer. This is a van, dedicated lane, must GPS track with Landstar Connect. All dispatchers and office locations are USA based only, no reefers. That's something that you notice a lot on loads. There are people that whenever they decide to become owner operators, they're like, you know what kind of trailer should I get? Oh, I should get like a lift gate, and that'll open up more options for me. If I have a lift gate trailer, then I can haul all the van loads, plus I can do lift gate loads. No, you can't. There are a lot of docks that you cannot dock to with a lift gate, because a lot of docks have that locking mechanism on them, and for insurance purposes, they have to lock in. They will not unload you if you can't lock in. So, a lot of times you're not going to find that out until you actually try to deliver the load, and then there's going to be a huge amount of drama where you're going to have to go and get unloaded somewhere else. You're going to have to go and get it moved to another trailer. And a lot of the loads will have in the notes, no reefers, or no liftgate trailers, or something like that. If an agent ever has to deal with that drama, then they'll start putting in the comment section that no, you cannot pick this up with a liftgate, or you can't pick it up with a reefer. But until they run across that issue, agents don't typically know anything about that, so they're not going to put it in there. So this one knows that the customers will not work with reefer trailers. There's something about the reefer trailers that they won't deal with. A lot of times what it is with the reefer trailer is inside the reefers they have that hanging vent up at the top that allows the air to flow to the back of the trailer, and that reduces the height of stuff that you can put inside the trailer. That's one of the reasons that people won't load reefers, is because they'll rip that chute trying to put tall items into the trailer. So, yeah, if you're going to become an owner-operator, you're going to buy your own trailer, then you needed to research what exactly you're planning on hauling before choosing a trailer. You shouldn't just go out and get a reefer expecting that, oh, with a reefer, I can haul reefer loads and van loads. That's not true. A lot of van loads cannot be hauled with a reefer. Customers will refuse to load them. So this looks like a pretty good agent. Now there is one huge red flag with this load. Where is Heber, California? Let's look at the map right here. So this is picking up in Kent, Washington, which is basically Seattle. And it's going to Heber, California, which I have to hold down control to zoom in. If you look at Heber, California, it's right on the border of Mexico. What does that mean? That means that this load is going into Mexico. There's about a 95% chance that this load is going into Mexico. And what did it say in the comments? It is a live load and then a drop and hook at the receiver. Okay, so that is a massive red flag, because loads going into Mexico, Landstar has some really messed up policies on that. So if you drop a trailer and that trailer goes into Mexico, then Landstar will not give you another trailer. In order for you to get another trailer, you have to get it from the agent that you drop the trailer with, or some other agent that's willing to give you one of their trailers, or you have to go through Landstar Mexico operations and get on their trailer wait list, which they never get trailers. If you call them to try to get on the trailer wait list, the girl that manages the wait list will tell you, we never get trailers. We have people that have been on our wait list for years. You're looking at, like, you're number 15 in line, and number 1 in line has been waiting for 6 months for a trailer. That's the kind of stuff that they're going to tell you if you try to get on the trailer wait list. You're not getting a trailer from Landstar Mexico Operations trailer wait list. Don't even try. So The problem here is they say it is a drop and hook. They don't say it's just a drop, which a lot of these Mexico loads are just drops, meaning that they're not going to give you a trailer afterwards. They're going to steal your trailer from you and take it into Mexico. The Landstar agents that work out of Mexico are some of the scummiest, worthless pieces of crap at Landstar. They will do anything they can to get trailers into Mexico because they can make a lot of money off of those trailers once they get them into Mexico. So they will find ways to get trailers into Mexico, and they won't give trailers back to the United States. So do not do drop loads into Mexico. Don't do it. You will go out of business because you won't be able to get another trailer. And the agents do not care about you. So this is a huge red flag for this load. It says that it's a drop and hook, insinuating that they're going to give you a trailer once you drop the trailer. So they're going to take the trailer that you drop into Mexico and they're going to give you another trailer. That's what this says. But that may not happen. The way it works at Landstar is once there is a load in the trailer, the agent has control over that trailer. You no longer have control over that trailer. So if you get down there to Heber and you drop the trailer and the agent doesn't have another trailer for you and they're like, go talk with Landstar Mexico Operations, they'll get you a trailer. If that's the way they'll treat you. They'll be like, oh no, it's fine. Just go talk with Landstar Mexico Operations. They'll get you a trailer. That's the kind of stuff that they do. And they'll act nonchalant about it like it's no big deal. And they know what they're doing to you, but you don't have any say over that. Once the load is in the trailer, they have control over that trailer. They can tell you to disconnect from the trailer. They're going to give it to another driver. There's nothing you can do about it. You can go whine to Landstar all you want, but Landstar is always going to side with the agent. Once the load is in the trailer, Landstar won't do anything for you. It's the agent's trailer at that point. They can do whatever they want with it. So it doesn't matter if they tell you it's a drop and hook. It's the agent can do whatever they want. So let's go back and look at some other loads. Let's refresh. You know what I should do? You know what I already thought that I did do is I thought in the search parameters here that I set this as maximum stops. None. Why in the hell are 37 stop loads showing up if I have the maximum stops set to 0? Come on, why are you... Man, this thing is janky. You know what I might have to do is I might just have to switch browsers because it is not working properly in this browser. After all that time spent setting it up to work in Firefox, looks like we're going to have to go to Brave. So let me switch this over to just me and we'll load up the Brave browser. And we'll get it pulled up there. Almost there. And this one looks like it's set up for the looks like it's set up for the other. Looks like it's set up for the other load board. All right, let's move the blur effect. Oh my goodness, it's so far away I can't see it. Let's move this over to the other screen so I can see it. All right. I think we're good. Now let's see if I can filter out these 40 stop loads. It is still, it's not giving me any kind of it's not giving me any kind of error, but it's not letting me update anything. All right, I'll figure it out after this. Let's just keep looking. All right, now one of the restrictions I have on here is to only show direct shipper freight. Oh, that's the reason it wouldn't let me save. The pickup end date. Now it's working. All right, now it's showing all. Now let's see if I can change the maximum stops. All right, let's see if it'll take 1. All right, it won't take 0, but it will take 1. That'll at least get rid of a lot of them. All right. And now it's doing excluded agents loads. So these are the agents that I have excluded. STW. Why do I have this agent excluded? Well, let's look at the loads. You see here, there are no extra stops on the loads. And it's paying $3.26 a mile, $3.65, $3.40, $6.40. These are paying really good rate per mile. But if you go and look in the comments, you'll see why. This agent does this on every single load. 1,950 miles, there are extra drops. They don't even tell you how many extra drops there are. It just says extra drops, and the actual mileage is 2,000 miles, not 1,600 miles. So the rate per mile is way off. This is one of those really shitty agents that just lies about the load to get it up in the search results. They'll put in wrong information to get their loads up into the top search results. All right, so now we're looking at some indirect customer freight. We're looking at not just contract freight, but we're also looking at spot market freight. So Kent to Heber, we know that's a contract load. Grants Pass to Albuquerque, I think that's also, I think Pasco is as well. This Colorado and this Texas load. I wish it would say on here which, let's just check these. I think these, the first one and the last two are contract loads. Hazmat. And direct shipper, yes. So this is a hazmat load. Pasco, Washington to Champion, Michigan. $3.83 a mile. 40,000 pounds of hazmat. Okay. And then the Grants Pass, Oregon to Albuquerque, New Mexico. I think that one is also... Yes, that's direct shipper. One pick, 2 drops. Driver assist to tail. What the hell like at Landstar, the agents think that if you just unload the trailer to the back of the trailer, that's just an assist. That's not an assist. A driver assist is if they want me to put stickers on the pallets as they're putting them on the trailer. You know, they want me to just stand at the back of the trailer and put stickers on. Or let's say you're hauling paper rolls and they want me to pull the mats out after they pull the paper rolls out so that their forklift tires don't spin on them. That's a driver assist. If I'm unloading the whole trailer to the back of the trailer, that's unloading the trailer. That's a driver unload. That's not a driver assist. Whatever the customer does with the freight once it gets off the trailer, that's up to the customer. But if I take it all the way to the rear of the trailer, I'm unloading the trailer. So Landstar agents will pay you $50 to unload a trailer. And I don't do that. No, I'm not unloading a trailer for $50. What Landstar pays for a driver unload is only like $150. And I don't do those either. Landstar does not pay enough for me to touch freight. So I will not do touch freight loads. So this is a driver unload. Securement pictures must be taken. So yeah, this is a really crap load. Let's see here. There's an extra stop where in Phoenix. So you have to go to Phoenix and then Albuquerque. And it's a driver unload. How much is the weight? It's only 14,500 pounds. 14,425. So you're only going to have to unload 14,500 pounds of cargo. And it doesn't say how you unload that. Is it palletized? Is it a hand unload? It doesn't say. Are these tires? It doesn't say. So yeah, I don't do this touch freight crap. All right, so we got Kent to Heber. That's a good load, but a huge red flag. It's an auto part load. That's really common. There's a lot of auto part loads that go in and out of Mexico. But yeah, I'm not touching a load going into Mexico. A drop load going into Mexico, it's not worth it. You can go out of business hauling that load with Landstar. If that agent screws you over and doesn't give you a trailer, you can go out of business waiting for a trailer. Pasco to Champion, Michigan. Max weight hazmat. No, I'm not hauling max weight hazmat. And Grants Pass, Oregon to Albuquerque, New Mexico. I don't do driver unloads. So then we have these two spot market loads. And I don't typically mess with spot market loads because there's just tremendous amounts of drama with them. There's lots of issues of non-payment. A lot of times the brokers will not pay what they're supposed to and stuff like that. You have a lot of payment issues. There's just a tremendous amount of trauma with spot market loads. I try to avoid them. So Othello, Washington to Brookshire, Texas, max weight 44,000 pounds. And they lied about the mileage. They put no mileage in so that it would show up as $4,000 per mile. This load shouldn't even show up on my load board. Othello, Washington to Brookshire, Texas is over 2,000 miles. And this is paying $4 per mile. What is that? Oh my goodness, I can't do math in my head right now. It's a $2 per mile load. Why couldn't I do that in my head? I don't know why. Hold on a second. I think somebody might be getting into an accident. A bunch of yelling and screaming outside. No. It's somebody delivering to the Flying J, and they're unloading in a liftgate box truck over in the RV fuel area, and the Flying J employee is telling them to unload at this door over here. Alright, so this is a really cheap load. So, like I explained earlier, the rates that you see here, that's the full rate that the customer's paying or that the broker's paying or whatever. I get approximately 70% of that. So at $2 a mile, I'm getting $1.40 a mile. So this load shouldn't even show up. The only reason it's showing up is because the agent lied on the load. Puyallup, Washington, or however you pronounce it, to Centennial, Colorado. $3 a mile. No. Don't go to Colorado unless it pays stupid amounts of money, like $6 a mile or more. And even then, I usually won't even touch loads going to Colorado. Colorado is a freight dead zone. Like, you're going to have to deadhead to Dallas, Texas to get your next load. I think Dallas is the closest place, or Kansas City. Kansas City is a decent freight market, but you're probably going to have to go all the way to Dallas to get your next load out of Colorado. So factor in like 700 miles of deadhead, and then look at the rate per mile and see if it's any good. All right, so now there are a couple of other loads. Let me think here. I have some loads excluded. How are they excluded? Let me see if they're still on the load board. I'm going to look at the load board on my phone. Nope, they're gone. So there were 2 loads that were on there yesterday. They don't pick up until December 10th, so they don't pick up for a while. But there was an agency that posted a load, 2 loads, that were going from Portland to Memphis, Tennessee to Salt Lake City. So it was a load from Portland to Memphis, and then another load going from Memphis to Salt Lake. It was for the CGI agency, which has the SIA contracts. So it was most likely a load for SIA. You were going to do a load for SIA from Portland to Memphis, and then another load for SIA from Memphis to Salt Lake. Now, the reason I didn't book it, it was paying decent. It was paying pretty good. It was $3 a mile, but it was a huge mileage load. The total amount the load was paying was over $11,000 total. I get roughly 70% of that. Why didn't I book that load? Because it was on an absolutely insane delivery schedule. The entire load was over 3,700 miles. Now that's just the the freight bill miles. Now, you know that those are not accurate miles. You can easily add on another 10% miles onto whatever the freight bill says. So it's probably over 4,000 real miles. And it had to be done in 4 days. 4 days to do 4,000 miles. And they had it listed as a solo load. And I thought, oh, well, they forgot to mark it as a team load. But also in the comments section, it said this solo load is available every week. And I was like, this is not a solo load. It's impossible for a solo driver to do 4,000 miles in 4 days legally. It's not possible. All right, so let's refresh. Absolutely nothing new. We are at like the peak. The reason I started the video right now is because this is when the load board is usually the most active. And it is not active right now. It is the day before a holiday. But usually the most active part of the day for a load board is around 8 a.m. Eastern Time, which is 12 minutes from now. It's 5:48 a.m. Pacific Standard Time right now. So right around 7 to 8 a.m. Eastern Time is when the load board is really popping off. Why is that the busiest time of day? Because the brokers typically work 8 to 5 Monday through Friday. Landstar is an East Coast based company. They're based out of Jacksonville, Florida. And they usually have a lot of emails and voicemails and stuff from overnight. So in the morning, they're getting caught up on all that stuff. They're posting all those loads as soon as they get in. Plus, they usually have a whole bunch of stuff that they normally post every day. So right at the beginning of the day is when they're posting a whole bunch of loads. So if you're trying to find a load real early in the morning, right around 7, 8 a.m. is usually the best time to find a load. By 10 a.m., the board really slows down, especially around lunchtime. And then after lunch, there'll be a little pickup around 2 or 3 p.m. I mean, there are loads constantly being posted on the load board, but the really, really busy time is right around within a couple of hours of 8 a.m. Monday through Friday. So it's really dead today because it's the day before a holiday. This whole week has been really slow. So let's expand our search a little bit so we can actually see something. Let me change to a different search. Let's see here. Let's use this one. Yes, let's use my 100-mile alert. I just used this a few minutes ago to check and see what was going on in Fontana. Portland to Memphis. December 7th through December 11th. Do I not have any date range set on this? I don't think I do. 38 of 44 loads. There's 6 loads from that agent that I have blocked. So there's 38 loads here. So I have my minimum threshold set at $2.74 a mile on my normal search. So all these are the loads that are below that threshold. Well, most of them are. I also have a minimum threshold of $4,000. I only want to do big runs. I don't want to do short little runs. So all of these loads are not showing up on the other search because of the rate per mile or the total revenue. And again, remember, these are the total amounts that the customer's paying. I only get approximately 70% of this. So, a load that's paying $2.50 a mile, I only make about $1.75 a mile on that. Gross to the truck. And then I have all my expenses that have to come out of that. That's the reason I don't want to haul loads that cheap, is because once all my expenses come out, I make about the same amount of money as a company driver hauling loads that cheap. Here's one that's just a hair below my threshold. Tacoma, Washington to Memphis, Tennessee. Max weight hazmat. This is something else that I normally don't touch. Are really heavy loads. I have, so there's different classes of semi trucks. Mega carriers typically get the smallest well, not the smallest sleeper trucks. They came out with some new sleeper trucks that have really tiny sleepers. Prime has a bunch of those. So it's not the smallest sleeper truck that most mega carriers get. It's the mid-size sleeper truck that most carriers, especially the mega carriers, get. I have what is known as like an owner-operator spec truck, where I have the largest sleeper that is a standard factory truck, and I have a lot of other optional features. Like I have a heavy steer axle. My steer axle is 13,700 pounds is what it's rated for. Most steer axles are rated for between 12 and 12,500 pounds. That's the reason there's this misconception that 12,000 pounds is the max weight of your steer axle. It's because a lot of steer axles, that is their actual max weight that they can hold. As far as state laws, most steer axles are 20,000 pound max weight. So what's limiting your steer axle weight is whatever the manufacturer has rated the axle for. Mine's rated for 13.7, and my tires are rated for like 13 or 13.2. So my tires are actually what limits the maximum amount that I can have on my steers. My drive axles are rated at 30, not 34. 34 is like the standard that mega carriers get their axles, their drive axles. Mine are 40,000 pounds, are what my drive axles are rated for. The reason I specifically wanted a truck that had these specifications on the axles is because if you haul loads in Florida or states like Florida, they don't have really strict axle limits. They just have like a gross weight limit. So there was a load that I picked up for USA Truck in Jacksonville, Florida that delivered to, was it Pensacola? Somewhere in the western panhandle. It went straight across the top on I-10. And Anheuser-Busch refused to rework the load when it was real heavy in the nose. I was at like 37,000 pounds on my drives and like 28 on my trailer tandems, with the tandem slid all the way forward. I can't remember the exact weights, but it was really nose heavy. And they said that it was legal in Florida, and I wasn't leaving Florida, so they weren't going to rework the trailer. I had to do a whole bunch of digging to, check and verify that that was legal. And then once I did verify it was legal, I hauled it. But a lot of these mega carrier trucks, they have 34,000 pound axles on them. And they can't haul those loads. I don't ever plan on hauling a load for Anheuser-Busch because they're one of the worst companies to do business with. They're extremely cheap and they nickel and dime you on everything. But I want that option. So the point I'm trying to make is that my truck weighs a lot more than a standard mega carrier truck because it's bigger, it has more heavy duty axles, and I have a lot more crap in my truck than most people do. I have a ton of stuff in here. So I don't typically haul loads over about 38,000 pounds because I have issues scaling them. And a lot of these customers don't know the actual weight of the load. They're just guessing. So they will list something at like 40,000 pounds and it'll actually be 44,000 pounds because they forgot to include all of the pallet weight and all of the securement material, the just everything in the trailer. They don't even include the weight of the boxes that the stuff is in. They just tallied up. There's 4,000 bottles of bleach in there, and they know how much that bottle of bleach weighs, so that's what they say the load is. They don't count in the boxes that the bleach is in, or the pallets that the bleach is on, or any of that weight. That adds up to a few thousand pounds. It can be 2, 3, 4, 5,000 pounds of materials. All right, Bend, Oregon to Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I don't want to do a huge deadhead. Oh, here's one from Portland to Oklahoma City. For anybody who doesn't know, I live in Oklahoma City. So that's going straight to my house. Do I want to go home? Not at $2.51 a mile. So there are two of these loads, which means that this is a spot market load and these two agents are bidding on the load. It's the same agency. The SYE agency has it listed at $4,600 and they have it listed at $4,700. It's the exact same load. Let's see if there's any comments on it. One pick, one drop, live, driver's assist. So it's a driver unload, and it is hazmat. 9,000 pounds of hazmat driver unload. So some cheap load that they're going to pay me $50 to unload 9,000 pounds, and it's hazmat on top of that. No, these are just bad loads. I'm probably going to end up having to set through the holiday. If you get into the situation that I'm in where you are sitting somewhere during the week of a holiday, then what you're hoping for are one of these unicorn loads. What will occasionally happen is there will be a desperation load posted on the board. A lot of people take time off during the holidays, so there's a lot less trucks looking for loads right now than normal. A lot of the warehouses and distribution centers are shutting down or running reduced hours during the holidays. So if somebody is desperate and needs something moved, usually a retailer, then you can get some really good money during a holiday. And that's kind of what I'm waiting for right now. That's kind of what I'm hoping for, is some unicorn load to just be thrown onto the board. If that doesn't happen, then I'm probably just going to end up sitting here until after the holiday. I keep thinking about taking this Heber, California load. But it's somewhere around 180-mile deadhead up to Kent, Washington to pick it up today. And then it's a drop going into Mexico. That could put me out of business if I get stuck without a trailer. That load's just too risky. If it wasn't a drop trailer going into Mexico, then I would probably take that load. I looked at loads coming out of the LA area, and they're decent. They're still not amazing like they were a few years ago, but they're not as bad as they were last year. All right, let's sort these by age and just look at the ones. So we can see loads are still coming into the load board. So this one is 14 hours old, and then we have one that's 22 minutes old and 0 minutes old. So there are some loads trickling onto the load board. Cottage Grove, Oregon to Saratoga, Wyoming. Max weight, 45,000 pounds building materials, paying $3.14 a mile, $3,400. Wyoming, you're going out into the freight desert. So loads that go out into the freight desert have to pay an incredible amount of money because you're most likely going to be deadheading 500 to 1,000 miles to get your next load. So you can just basically cut this rate in half whenever you add in all of your deadhead miles to get to your next load. So $3.14 a mile. This is paying like $1.50 a mile in reality. Paying like $1.57 a mile. And you only get about 70% of that. So It's a really, really bad load. Uh, McMinnville, Oregon to Littleton, Colorado. Another extremely max weight load, paying $2.80 a mile going to the freight desert out in Colorado. Again, you have to add on like a lot of deadhead miles to get your next load. So this is paying. This is another load where you're going to be making like $1.40 a mile, $1.50 a mile on this load if you're lucky. So these are below operating cost loads for most drivers. Let's refresh. Oh, we got another one popped in. Puyallup, Washington to Denver. Another load that's paying $2.99 a mile. Usually these loads that are going out into the freight desert pay over $5 a mile. These are incredibly cheap loads for the destinations. For Colorado or Wyoming, if it's paying anything less than $5 a mile, it is an incredibly cheap load. So the agents that are posting this crap, they're posting these loads at what would be like a good rate if it were a normal destination. Like if this load were going to Dallas, Texas, or Kansas City, or Omaha, Nebraska, then these rates would be good. This would be a good load. $2.99 a mile, $2.82, $3.14 a mile. Those would be good rate per mile for those destinations. But for Wyoming or Colorado, no, these are horrible rates. This tells me that the agents that negotiated these rates don't know what they're doing. So even though it's a day before the holiday, we're still seeing some loads popping up here. You know what? Since there's not a lot of movement on the board, if a good load gets posted, I have my load alerts set up and I will get a notification on my phone. Let me just double check that I didn't screw that up whenever I was changing the settings a minute ago. No, everything looks good. I should still get load alerts. Oh my goodness, it's 4 a.m. I've got the wrong time zone. I was thinking it was 6 a.m. here in Portland, and it's 4 a.m. in Portland. That's the reason load board's not getting any movement on it. We're just getting a really early load board video. This is way too early. Yeah, I'm surprised we're getting any loads popping up this early. By 7 a.m. in an hour from now, that's when we should start seeing loads popping up. Oh, I'm sorry. There's people posting. Hi, I didn't know people live stream this. I do photography and I'm looking a way to make money. Hotshot trucking. Ooh. Then go home. Does this work out well enough to just do loads like that, or would I be stuck for weeks? So Hotshot. Let me say that I don't really know anything about Hotshot. I've never done Hotshot. Hotshot is a specialized type load. It's like people who do box trucks. Whenever the freight market is booming, then what ends up happening is most customers want to move their freight on normal trucks like what I have. They want to move it in a dry van or a flatbed using a normal truck. Customers and brokers, they don't like to use things like hot shots and box trucks. So usually hot shots and box trucks don't do very well unless the freight market is booming. Whenever the freight market is booming, then there's an overflow of freight and they are desperate to move the freight and they will move it on anything that they can. So if you go back on YouTube and you look at videos a couple years old, back when we were at the like historically high freight market, you'll see tons and tons of YouTube videos of people getting box trucks and hot shots and bragging about how much money they're making. But once we went into a freight recession, then you started seeing all these YouTube videos of all those people that were bragging about how well they were doing. They're all going out of business now. And that's because there wasn't that overflow of freight. There's not even enough freight for the trucks. And whenever a customer has a choice between a a box truck or a hot shot or something like that versus a real truck, they're almost always going to choose a real truck. And a lot of customers will refuse to move loads on hot shots and box trucks. They just don't like dealing with them. There's a lot of drama involved in that stuff. But again, I'm not an expert on box trucks or hot shots, so you might want to do some more digging or ask some people that specialize in that kind of stuff as to exactly what their thoughts on that market is. But my thoughts would be that it's a good place to be whenever we're in an all-time high market. It's a bad place to be whenever the market's down. All right, let's see if we got another one. Nope. All right, so let's check out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a massive search of like every Landstar load. Well, maybe not every one of them. Let's just look at some of the really big loads that you could potentially get on Landstar. Let's see here. So let's get rid of Portland. We're just basically, let's clear the whole search. Actually, you know what? Let's not do that. Let's go to available loads and we'll just do a brand new search instead of using one. I don't want to mess up one of my saved searches. So there are 57,856 loads. Let's do minimum revenue of $8,000. Now, what we're mainly going to see are highly specialized loads. Team loads, oversize, overweight, stuff like that. But let's just, for funsies, let's just see what's out there. And yeah, a bunch of Alaska loads. Those are really big paying loads. There is Italy. In case there's a delay, do you have your own trailer or do you pick up trailers? I'm leased to Landstar, so I use their trailers. So the reason I do that is it's a lot cheaper for me, and there's a lot of freight that I would not have access to if I used my own trailer. You're extremely limited in what you can do with Landstar if you use your own trailer. Like you can't do drop and hook loads. So yeah, it's extremely limiting. All right, so what do we got here? Tacoma, Washington to Prudhoe Bay, Alaska. So it's an Alaska load. It's 48,000 pounds, which is overweight. The most you can haul, gross vehicular weight, is 80,000 pounds. Anything over 80,000 pounds, you need a permit, a special permit for overweight. So this is an overweight load going to Alaska. It's a power-only load as well. So you're hauling, let's just look at the comments on it. You're hauling most likely some type of customer equipment. Let's see what it is. Thank you, Nate. You don't give us any additional information. So this is a very highly specialized load. It's not just, no, it's 53 foot length. I was about to say it's oversized as well, but it's not. So it's overweight and it's power only. It's hazmat, and it's going to Alaska. There's a lot of things about that load that increase the price on it. How long has it been sitting on the load board? 19 hours. So it's been sitting on the load board for a day. So that tells you that even with the amount of money that this load is paying, it's still not paying enough money for somebody to take it. It's still not a good load. Ogden, Utah, and at the time of day that we're sitting at right now, basically any load that's sitting on the load board right now is not a good load. So DDE, I forget what exactly that stands for. The trailer type on this load is it's a step deck. I forget what DDE stands for. Drop deck or something like that. I can't remember. 41,000 pounds. So Ogden, Utah, going to Canada. I can't do Canada loads. There are territories in Canada that require your truck to be governed at 65. My truck is not governed at 65. Perry, Florida to Anchorage, Alaska. Looks like a normal load. It's just going to Alaska. It's huge mileage. 4,500 miles, paying $387 a mile, $17,500. Portland, Oregon to Memphis, Tennessee. Has 3 extra stops on it. It is a massive mileage load. 35,000 pounds, 6,700 miles. CHX agency. They are a decent agency. Let's see what the story is on this load. It's probably multiple loads piled in together, which is usually what they do. Same route available every week for teams. So this is a team-only load. That is not a very good load for teams. That is a single week, December 3rd through December 9th. How can you run that load every week? Because how are you getting back to Portland? I mean, you're going to end the load in Memphis, Tennessee. You're going to be a long way from Portland. So you're going to have to find some way to get back to Portland to do it again. So maybe you could do the load every other week. I don't know. But $256 a mile is not a very good rate for teams. That is a massive mileage run. I don't have any chance to ask questions to someone. Blah, 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 blah. Team only. Oh my goodness, you don't know anything about trucking. What is Landstar? Landstar, okay, so you can, as an owner-operator truck driver, which is what I am, I own my own truck. I have options. I could go out and get my own carrier authority and just run random loads off of the spot market, like DAT Load Board, or I could lease to a company like Landstar. So I leased to Landstar. I signed a contract with Landstar. Landstar and I are business partners. And the reason I leased to Landstar is because I get access to their contract freight that's not on the spot market load board. And I get a lot of other benefits, like group insurance reductions or savings or whatever. So, like, if I were under my own carrier authority, my insurance would be about $20,000 per year. With Landstar, it's about $5,000 per year. There's lots of things like that that I save, like my fuel discounts. I average probably a 75-cent per gallon discount on fuel. And if I had my own authority, I would be lucky to be getting like 30 cents per gallon discounts. So I save a tremendous amount on fuel because Landstar is so big that they can negotiate really good fuel discounts. They can negotiate really good insurance discounts. They negotiate really good discounts for everything. So my cost of business is really cheap with Landstar, and I get access to their premium contract freight that people not leased to Landstar don't have access to. So it's like, think of it as like franchising. You know, let's say that you wanted to open up a restaurant. You wanted to, open up a burger restaurant. Well, you can choose to create your own restaurant, and you'd have to go out and find your own customers, do your own marketing, do everything yourself, and create your own little burger restaurant. Or you could franchise with McDonald's. And McDonald's already does all the marketing. There's just tons and tons of benefits of franchising with McDonald's. It's like guaranteed business. So that's what it's like leasing to Landstar. Is instead of going out and creating my own completely independent trucking company where I did everything myself, I chose to contract with an existing trucking company that was already set up. What was your other question, Landstar? The team only. So teams, in these trucks, there are solo and then there are team. So I'm a solo. It's just me in the truck. In a team truck, there are two drivers. One driver sleeps back here where I'm sitting in the sleeper while the other one drives. So the truck is almost constantly moving. With me, I can only drive so many hours a day. Then I have to crawl back into the sleeper and sleep. So team-only loads are loads that require team drivers, meaning that there's two main reasons that you require a team. One is because it has to deliver really fast. A solo driver just can't get from point A to point B that fast. And two is you don't want the truck or trailer parked. Let's say you're hauling something that's really expensive. Let's say you're hauling nuclear weapons or something like that. You don't want a solo driver hauling nuclear weapons around because they're going to have to park at the truck stop and sleep. You don't want those nuclear weapons sitting at the truck stop. So you make that a team-only run so that the truck is just constantly moving to its destination. The only time it stops is to fuel up or to use the restroom. That's it. It doesn't stop for any significant period of time while it's going to deliver a load. So those are the two main reasons that loads are team-only. So 56,000 loads, isn't that the loads in the country? That's just Landstar. Franchising costs money, though. Wouldn't it be less profitable? It sounds like more. Yeah, it costs money to lease to Landstar. So, like I was explaining, I only get 65% of the line haul. So Landstar takes a big chunk out of every load that I haul. But whenever you compare that with the spot market, and I've made videos dedicated to explaining this because there's a lot of owner-operators out there that have their own authority, and they look down on people like me that lease to somebody like Landstar, and they think I'm an idiot because I'm only getting 65% of the load. And they brag about getting 100% of the load. Well, that's not the way this industry works. If you're getting a load off the spot market, you are not getting 100% of the load. Let's say a customer has a load that's paying $10,000, and I'm leased to Landstar. Well, at Landstar, I know exactly what the customer is paying for the load. There's nothing hidden from me. I get to see the actual freight bill that the customer's paid, the amount the customer pays, what they're charged. So I get a flat 65% of that. The agent, the broker, gets approximately 7%, and then Landstar gets the remainder of that. But if you're hauling loads off the spot market, you're not leased to Landstar, you have your own authority, and you're getting 100% of the load, that same $10,000 load, the agent gets to keep whatever is left over after they pay the driver. So they're going to move the load as cheap as they possibly can. The spot market is a lowest bid market. So if they post the load on the spot market and somebody will take it for $4,000, then that's what they're going to move the load at. They're going to move the load at $4,000, and that agent is going to keep $6,000. So most of the time, spot market loads, they actually get a lower percentage than what a lease driver gets. Someone leased to a company, spot market usually gets paid a lower percentage than what I get paid. Most brokers that operate on the spot market will not even bother posting a load where they get less than 15% of the load. And there was some information that got I think there was a lawsuit or something against C.H. Robinson to where they were forced to show the freight bills, and people found out that C.H. Robinson was taking an average of something like 40% off of all of the loads. That was like their average. I mean, there were loads where they were taking more than that. So, yeah, it's leasing to Landstar. I've done the math on getting my own authority or leasing somewhere else. Landstar is the absolute best option for me. Maybe somebody else, something else might be a better option for them. But a lot of companies that you lease to are not good options. So, I mean, I think I made an entire video explaining all this. But, yeah, it's Landstar is a good place to lease to. The spot market is not a very good place to be unless the market is at all-time highs. Any idiot can be successful in trucking in an all-time high freight market. They're just showering you with money then. But yeah, at Landstar, I have access to spot market loads, and I also have access to contract freight. So I have the best of both worlds at Landstar. So a lot of the same loads that you see on the spot market on that load board, you see them posted on Landstar's load board. Yeah, the transparency laws exist in trucking. It's just that brokers ignore them. No law is worth anything if it's not enforced, and they do not enforce the regulations on brokers. The enforcement on the drivers and the carriers is extremely strict, but the enforcement on the brokers is non-existent. All right, let's look at some of these other loads here. So Portland to Memphis, that was a team-only load. Another Alaska, Alaska, Alaska. All these are Alaska. Okay, here we got Pennsylvania to California. SDLP. I don't even know what that stands for. It's some kind of specialized trailer. Step deck, low profile. So this is a low profile step deck is what I think this is. Those are those step deck trailers that like are almost dragging on the ground. They have small tires on them. Beaverton, Oregon to Yuma, Arizona. Really cheap rate per mile, but it's a huge mile. Flatbed step deck going to Alaska. Illinois to Tennessee. These are just massive mileage runs. These are really low pay. They're like $2 a mile, but they're just big mileage runs. Now, what we used to see a lot of on Landstar's load board were loads that were paying like $80,000, and they were events. You'd sign up for like 2 or 3 months to do a tour with somebody. I don't really want to ever do one of those loads, but those used to be on the load board quite a bit, and I never see those anymore. All right. There are not any like really amazing loads out there. So let's go back to let's go back to just looking. Nothing new on there. Alright, so what I think I might do is I might wrap up this little live stream. I got my timing messed up. I thought that it was 6 a.m. local time here in Portland, so I started the stream 2 hours earlier than I expected. But we're getting close to the time. Like if I end it right now, then the load board should start actually. We're only like 30 minutes away from the load board becoming active. I mainly just started up this stream to test. This is the first live stream I've ever done, and I wanted to see if it even worked. Alright, let's check out Fontana, California. Which is the Los Angeles area. And just see if freight coming out of there is any good. 150-mile radius. Alright. Decent. San Diego to Polk City, Florida. $2.72 a mile. It's not very good. Florida loads need to pay a premium because Florida is a bad freight market. The loads coming out of Florida pay next to nothing, so you're going to have to deadhead to Georgia or Alabama to get your next load. So the deeper into Florida it is, the more of a premium it needs to pay. So something going all the way down to like Miami, I don't know where Polk City is at. Let's see where Polk City is at. But something going all the way as far south as like Miami needs to pay a lot of money. Alright, looks like Polk City is in the industrial area in between Tampa and Orlando. There are a ton of loads that deliver to this Lakeland, Davenport area in between Tampa and Orlando. This is a massive industrial park area. I've delivered a lot of loads into this area right here. Lakeland, Davenport. I can't remember all the little cities in here that I've delivered to. But yeah, that's Central Florida. That's not too terribly bad. There's something wrong with like all these loads. Alright, here's one. Terrell, Texas. Torrance, California to Terrell, Texas. $3.15 a mile, but it's a max weight load. LA to Dallas. Terrell, Texas is basically Dallas. So here's another one, paying about the same. And it's also 40,000 pounds. So the LA market is decent. It's not premium like it used to be, but it's decent. It's not really bad. So I wouldn't mind going down to the LA area, but I'm not going to try to go down there. Back when it was a premium market, I would go out of my way to go to LA. I would specifically look for LA loads because you would just get showered with money. Like those loads that are paying $4,400 to go from LA to Dallas. The last LA to Dallas load that I hauled paid $9,000. Paid twice as much as what those loads are paying. That was back when it was a premium market. This kind of gig you get away with working half the year in if you stayed out on the road. 6 years, stopped about a year ago. It can be fun. Yeah, I've made videos on that as well, as far as like how much I work. I don't work very much. I don't try to make a lot of money on this. I just try to make enough to pay my bills. So I only make maybe on average about $60,000 a year. The last couple of years I've only made maybe $35,000 a year because the freight market has been horrible. But I don't work very much. I only work a couple of months out of the year. So yeah, it is one of those jobs where you can just work like 2 months out of the year. That's basically what I do, is I only work a couple months out of the year. But it depends on how you set the business up. Whenever I set this business up, I set it up with the intention of only working a couple of months out of the year. So in order to do that, I had to get my revenue to where it was high whenever I did work, and my expenses really low to where I wasn't forced to work all the time. Most of these trucks out here, their expenses are somewhere in the ballpark of like $1,000 a week or more if they just set parked. So if somebody was to just park their truck and not haul any loads, then it would cost them like $1,000 a week to park their truck. That's not including the cost of moving the truck. Whenever you're driving the truck, you have fuel costs, you have wear and tear, maintenance, and stuff like that. And fuel cost is one of your biggest costs. So the basic cost of parking your truck, most truck drivers have to work year-round. They can't afford to take any time off. Most truck drivers only take like a couple weeks a year off because their expenses are so high and their revenue is so low. I'm the complete opposite of that. My revenue is really high and my expenses are really low, and that allows me to take a lot of time off. The reason my expenses are really low is I paid cash for my truck. My truck is completely paid off. Most people have a truck payment of like $700 to $1,000 a week. I don't have a truck payment. My insurance is really low because I'm leased to Landstar. A lot of people pay, $300 to $500 a week for insurance. I pay about, what is it? It's about, I think it's $400 a month is what I pay for insurance. It's right around $5,000 a year, somewhere in the ballpark of that. So yeah, it's somewhere around $400 a month. What I pay per month in insurance is what most people pay per week in insurance. And just all of my costs are really, really, really low in comparison to most trucks. And then the rates that you see on these loads, let's go back and, look at these. So these are the loads that I have available that I could take right now. Like this load right here, this Kent, Washington, which is basically Seattle to Heber, California, or Haber, I don't know how they pronounce it, for $3.88 a mile. If this load were on the spot market at that price, people would be fighting for this load. This load is a really amazing load. If it were on just about anybody's load board except Landstar, this load wouldn't be sitting here. Somebody would have booked this load already. But on Landstar's load board, this isn't really that great of a load. It's been sitting on the load board for a day. And it's probably not going to get covered. Nobody is probably going to end up booking this load. And it's not simply because of the pay. It's a little misleading in saying that this load is good. I think a lot of people are avoiding this load for the same reason that I am. It's a drop load going to Mexico. If it weren't a drop trailer going to Mexico, then I might book this load. I do remember, let's look at Google Maps. I do remember the last time I hauled a load down to that area. There is a really awesome little truck stop right on the Mexico border. It was in Calexico, right down here. And it had really good prices, and the what was it? It had was it a Carl's Jr. restaurant that did not have truck stop prices. It had like normal prices. Man, that's a lot of solar panels. I think that's what that is. Massive fields of solar panels. Is that what all that is? All right, where? Where is that truck stop? It was really close to the border. I don't remember it being a really densely populated area like this. But I could see like the border checkpoint from the truck stop. Where in the hell is it at? This is it. Yep, this is it right here. So how far is that away from Heber? Right there's Heber. That's not very far. I don't know if I would, drive all the way around that area just to get to this truck stop. I don't know if it was that awesome. It was an incredibly busy truck stop because this border crossing was not open 24 hours a day. So there were a ton of trucks parked here waiting for the crossing to open up. I might call that agent and just see like what they have to say on the drop and hook and see if they sound trustworthy or if they sound like a salesperson because the agents are salespeople and they will lie to you with a big smile on their face. That's what salespeople do. So you have to be really good at judging people and asking questions and stuff like that to try to see if they're lying or if they're misleading you. I don't know. It's just really risky to take that load. Ooh, Walmart Supercenter. Do they have truck parking? Almost all the Walmarts have gotten rid of their truck parking. Ooh, there is truck parking. There's an Aldi's, which I've never shopped at Aldi's, but I've heard of them. That is not like a designated parking area. It looks like there's... Oh, no, no, no. It is a designated parking area. There is... I thought people were just driving over the curb into this little dirt area, but there's an actual little driveway, entryway thing to get here. Walmart fuel station? Oh, wow. Did Walmart install a fuel station there? Let's see if there's any comments on that. So that little parking lot might not be there anymore. That's weird because Google Maps is usually pretty like current on the satellite pictures. There are a lot of reviews on the Walmart gas station, which is supposedly here, instead of this truck parking lot. The other negative of taking that load to Calexico is that you are a long way from anything. Let's measure distance to get back over to the LA area. 161 straight line miles, so it's probably around 200 miles to get back to the LA area. $100 to get to San Diego. There's some nice freight that comes out of the Calexico area, but not a lot of it. I might get lucky and be able to get a load out of that area. I don't know. It's a tempting load. What I'm hoping happens is that they repost the load at a much higher rate. If they really want to move the load, then you'll see stuff like that happen. You'll see them severely increase the rate to get the load moved. So they might repost the load at like $5 or $6 a mile. And then if I call them up and I feel confident that, you know, they're not going to screw me out of a trailer, then I might take it. The solar panels, oh yeah. Hmm. So we got about 15 more minutes until the load board really kicks off. What I think I'll do is I'll go ahead and end this stream, and I'll wait for like another hour until the load board starts picking up, and then I'll restart the stream. Mainly, I apologize for, you know, the people who actually watch this stream, but this was mainly just me testing out live streaming. I've been testing out short videos and live streaming recently and stuff like that. Things that I've never bothered with in the past. Just to see, you know, just to see if they work. Because live streaming used to be restricted to only like channels that were partnered or something like that. There were restrictions on live streaming. So I wanted to see if it worked, and I wanted to make sure everything was set up so that I could do it. So this was basically just a test stream, and I might do another stream in an hour or so if the load board picks up like I think it might pick up. And this is the day when you might get that really amazing desperation load. The day before the holiday, where they really need a load moved. And so I'm hoping to get a load today. So I might do another live stream in about an hour. I'll grab something to eat while I'm waiting on the load board to pick up. So yeah, I think I'll end this now. I apologize, it wasn't the greatest of streams, but thanks for watching, and have a good one. And I might start up another one here in about 30 minutes to an hour. So thank you. Bye-bye.